Now, for more perspectives on the achievements of the 9th National Assembly at large, we're joined on the news at 10 from our Abuja studio by former Chairman, House Committee on Judiciary, Mr. Onofio-Kluk. Thank you for joining us on the news at 10. Well, the valedictory sessions in both chambers, as we've seen, have been quite emotional for the members. So for those who may be wondering, what exactly are they emotional about? You were not just close to the action, you were right in the middle of the action. Perhaps you can give an insight.
Thank you, Kayode. Good evening and good evening, Nigerians. It's not easy for you to be in a place in a period of 4 years and you appear there almost every Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and some of them you get to associate with them in committee work, go on oversight function, and so your life has become intertwined. Together, you've had shared experiences, you've had down moment, you've had great moment, like in the House of Representatives, we've had situations where we lost some of our colleagues, and then some of those people happened to sit maybe some few rows away from us. And so we've had people that we gathered, like I said, during our valedictory, we gathered as strangers, but along the line, we made friends, we built relationships that will last for a lifetime. And imagine you not going to be, yes, we are going to still be seeing ourselves, building on that relationship, but it's not going to be as frequent as it used to be when you were actively out there. And so I believe the totality of all these, the totality of the moments we are going to miss, the friends we are going to miss, the periods that we used to exchange banters that we are going to miss, makes it emotional. And just like when we're in school, and then at the end of term or at the end of a particular school period, they will say, oh, we are partying valedictory. It's always emotional. Partying for those with good minds, for those with human heart, and for those who believe in humanity, those who believe in relationship, those who believe in networking. And that's what makes it a very emotional moment.
Well, for a lot of members of the 9th Assembly, they will not be returning for the 10th Assembly like yourself. But, you know, the chairman of the Assembly, the former Senate President now, also spoke about that rubber stamp issue, where it was called that, he said that you've suffered from negative stereotypes. But when people weigh the fact that a lot of people are not returning, and then that, well, stereotype, which he called it, some see it as the evaluation of your performance. But talk to us from your constituents. What feedback are you getting regarding how well you have performed or otherwise?
I want to lay this foundation. While, just like the 10th National Assembly is going to be inaugurated, immediately after the elections, the 9th National Assembly agenda was already set by Nigerians. Nigerians listed the things they wanted as top priority. It resonated from people in the local constituencies, even to the national, to the state capitals. And priority on that was the reforms in the oil and gas industry in the country, electoral reforms to make for credible electoral management system was top on the agenda. And then top on the agenda for the youth of this country was a legislative and maybe institutional framework to be able to aid them in their tech ecosystem, to be able to aid their startups. Not again on the agenda, top on the agenda too, set by Nigerians, were the issue of police reforms. Top on the agenda too issues of justice sector reforms. And so looking at these, we had to formalize all these priorities of Nigerians into a legislative agenda. In this case, in the House of Representatives specifically, I know the Senate did theirs, and we used that as a compass, a legislative agenda to show us where to go, to give us a sense of direction on what Nigerians expect. And so looking at the things Nigerians expected and looking that reflected in our legislative agenda, we could beat our chest and said we have done a great deal. And I would speak with evidence in point. Let's look at the power sector. Nigerians had complained about the poor power network in the country.
Right.
And we took that into consideration, and we asked questions, what can we do? And within the context of the powers given to us, which is purely that of legislation,
right,
what can we do to be able to strengthen the judiciary, to be able to strengthen the executive to perform its function? And so we said we needed to empower the state to play in areas that it's only in the exclusive preserve of the federal government. That is them getting to delist totally power transmission from the executive, exclusive legislative list,
right,
to a concurrent list. That is, the states can now legislate on areas that have been covered by, even by National Grid. And we went a step further to be able to enact the Electricity and Power Sector Reforms Act, which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has just given his assent. I thank Mr. President for giving that assent to that act.
Mr. Luke, if I may come in there,
so?
Still on that point you were
Yes.
making, incidentally, about the president, he has not hidden his preference. Neither has the APC hidden its preference for who should lead the 10th Assembly. So let's look ahead, if we can. We'll just listen to Professor Ango Abdullahi saying that there will be consequences if there is interference in that process of, choosing leaders for the National Assembly, especially under a democracy where, all of these arms need to be independent. So do you agree with those that say, well, maybe this is too much interference?
Kayode, yes, we might see it from one perspective, from a point of interference, but they say he who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. The president or the governor of a state is the chief visioner. He has his own vision, he has his own idea, just like what we've seen in the country today, that Mr. President, I am not a member of his party, I did not support him in his election, but I supported the actions he has taken so far. It goes to show that he had a plan for Nigeria and is executing that plan. And so you need the legislature that is going to buy into your plans, buy into your programs. And there is nothing wrong. And I want to say here, with all sense of responsibility, it has always been so. The executive, the president of the country, who is the leader of their party, has always shown an indication where he would likely want the leadership of the National Assembly to go to. It happened under President Muhammadu Buhari, Giseva, the former president of the country, who, through his body language, has shown that he would prefer an Ahmed Lawan as the Senate president, and he would prefer Efemi Gbajabiamila as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. The only difference now is that, between now and then, is that it was not, it was just discussed in hushed tones. But we've had a president using his party to say clearly, this is where I am going, and he is trying to stop those who probably would be contesting not to spend so much money. And we are in a guided democracy in Africa. We are in a journey until we get to an El Dorado, right. And we cannot devolve the influence of the executive in what is happening in the legislature, because they need that synergy. Look at what has happened in the 9th National Assembly.
Right.
It's because of that synergy with the executive, because Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari made an indication, made through his body language, communicated through his caucus, communicated through his men, where he would want the leadership of the National Assembly, both in the Senate and the House of Representatives, to go to.
Right.
And that is why we have had the cooperation, and that is why we've been able to have the successes we've been able to record, though we have rooms for improvement. Okay. So there's nothing wrong in the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, through his party, showing an indication that Senator Godswill Akpabio should be the preferred for the Senate president.
Well, I think that's a great place.
Honorable Tajuddin Abbas should be the preferred for the House of Representatives.
And I think that's a great place to anchor. Mr. Onofiok Luke, former chairman, House Committee on the Judiciary. Thank you so much for your time on the News at 10.
Thank you, Kayode.